Okay, this is a solution set for exam 2. Question 1, apply perfect squares. Let me get my pen. So let's remember we call perfect square formula a plus b square equals to a square square the first one. Change my language. Oh, can I do that? Sorry, I have to get a read this to change my language. My language is in Chinese now. Okay, now it's in English. So basically, perfect square is saying square the first one. So our first one is this term. So we square this one. We square the second one. Then multiply those two, double it. So what do we get? We square the first one. We get a 4. Right, -2 squared is 4. A square is a square is a to the 4th power. The minus 2 times -2a squared is -4a squared. Then times another 2. So that's 8. A squared. The middle term is the product of those two, then multiply by 2. Then the second one squared. Well, 2 squared is 4. This is the answer. 4 times a to the 4th power minus 8 times a squared plus 4. This is second one. Second one is called sum of 2 cubes. So this one is called perfect square. Perfect squares. Okay. Number 2 is sum of 2 cubes. Okay. When it raised by 3rd power, we call cube. So the first one, a times x cubed, we can write as 2 times x raised by cube, the power, right? 125 is 5 raised by a cube, or raised to the power 3. And this also has a formula. The formula is the same, it's called this, we want to factor it, factor completely. So first we check those two terms doesn't have common factors. So we'll perform this formula, sum of 2 cubes. The formula is in the first, so the first one is 2x, second one is 5. Okay, so 2x plus 5 is one factor. We're just trying to follow the formulas. Then times the first one square, 2x parentheses square is 4 times x squared. Plus AB, the first one times the second one, 2x times 5, which is 10x. Then plus second one square, which is 5 squared. 5 squared is 25. Oh, hold on. I made a mistake. It's not plus, this is a minus. This term is minus. This term is minus. If this were minus in the first one, then that would be all plus. So in this case, if we multiply, we check. Okay, the answer is 2x plus 5, a factor. Another factor is 4x squared minus 10x plus 25. Well, let's check our answer to see if we did it right. Okay. So multiply 2x with 4x squared, we did get it back ax cubed. Multiply 5 with 25, we did get 125. So then that means the middle term all canceled out. Let's see how it does cancel out. So middle term comes to 2x times -10x, right? That would be -20x squared. -20x squared. Then we have 5 times 4x squared. What was 5 times x squared? 20x squared, positive, right? So that's why those two cancel to be 0. Then we have another pair. Let's use purple color. We have 5 times negative 10x. That's negative 50x. Then we also have 2x times 25. That's a positive 50x. So those two also canceled to be 0. So that's why we're still left with those two terms. So we did it right. All right, so this is called the sum of two cubes. Okay. We have a cube plus b cube, that factor to be a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. Three. We want to solve inequalities. So we have 3 sides, right? We have one in the middle, one on the left, one on the right. So first, we want to get rid of this 5. So what do? We plus 5 on 3 sides. We plus 5 for this. We plus 5 for negative 17. We plus 5 for 11. So then what do we get? Let me write on the side. So negative 17 plus 5, that's negative 12. Right? Less than 4x. Minus 5 plus 5, that's 0. 11 plus 5, that's 16. So get this. Now what do? We divide. We divide everyone by 4 because we want to get x. Right? We want to divide it by 4 because we have 3 sides. We have 3 sides, so we do simultaneously on 3 sides. So what do we get? We get negative 12 divided by 4, that's negative 3. 4x divided by 4, that's just x, 1x. 1x, usually we don't bother to write a 1 in front of x, just x. 16 divided by 4, that's 4. So that's our solution, right? That's our solution. But we want to write in interval notation. So how do we write in interval notation? We write as, let's put it here. Open parentheses, starting from negative 3, end up at 4, not including the endpoints, negative 3 and 4. So we use open parentheses and close parentheses. How do we mark on the graph? First, we find the negative 3. Negative 3 is here. We're going to make an open circle because negative 3 is not in the solution. Then we find the 4. 4 is here. We also make an open circle because 4 is not in the solution. So in between all the numbers, in between negative 3 and 4, not including negative 3, not including 4, is a solution. Takes me a little time to get my pen all the time. So this is a system of inequalities. So what do we want to do? We want to write in slope-intercept form. Like slope-intercept form. What is that? That's y equals to some number plus times x plus another number in this form. So let's see the first one. How do we write the first one in the case? Well, add x on both sides, we get negative 2y greater than or equal to x plus 6. Right. First step, we move negative x to the other side, it becomes plus. Then we divide by negative 2. We divide by negative 2, we get a y. We have to flip the sign, less than or equal to negative x minus 3. So negative 2y divided by negative 2, that's just 1. Then x divided by, oh, I'm missing negative half, right? Because I'm dividing by negative 2. I'm dividing by negative 2 for every term. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1, so I have 1y. We don't bother to write this 1. And when I divide by or multiply by a negative number for inequalities, I flip the sign. The sign from greater than or equal to become less than or equal to now. So x divided by -2, that's negative half x. Right? 6 divided by -2, that's -3. So now what do? We want to graph this line. So this is a representation for a line. So we just need to get 2 points, x-intercept and a y-intercept. X-intercept is saying, we need to find the x value, but we set y to be 0. If y is 0, what do we get? Y is 0. We get less than or equal to negative x minus 3. Right. Then, because we want to draw the line, we don't really consider the less than. So we can move negative x to the other side. So x equals to -3. So that means x is -3. So get 1 point. So x is -3, y is 0, get an x-intercept. Similarly, we get a y-intercept. Y-intercept means x is 0. So y-intercept. That means x value is 0. We need to find y, corresponding y. So if x is 0, obviously negative 0 divided by 2, that's 0. So y equals -3. So we see 1 plus this can equals -3. Okay, so x is 0, y is -3. Oops, right here. Oops, sorry. So this point, right? Once I have those 2 points, I can graph my line. I can graph the line y equals to -half x minus 3. I can graph a little bit longer. Then this is saying y is less than or equal to. So the solution set is all below this line. You see my line is solid because I have less than or equal to. So equal sign is there also. So all those in the solution of this inequality. So I draw vertical lines, right? Down, 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 all those numbers in the solution set. Now, similarly, let's draw for the second one. Let me change my color to be green, maybe orange. Orange is not obvious. Let's do a green color. Now we want to do this one. We see this one can be simplified, right? 2x minus 6y minus 12. So 2 is a common factor. So we want to divide everybody by 2. If we do that, let me write on the side. 2x divided by 2 is x, right? Minus 6 divided by 2 is 3y. Less than or equal to, also with equal sign, -6. I just simplify this equation. I divide every term. I have 3 terms. I divide every term by 2. So I get this simplified inequality. Now, I need to solve for y, so I move x to the other side. I move x to the other side, I get a -3y less than or equal to -x. Positive x moved to the other side becomes -6. Then I divide everybody by -3. Right. Divide everybody by -3, I get a y. Less than now becomes greater than or equal to. Because I multiplied, because I divided by a negative number for inequality, I gotta switch the signs. So less than now becomes greater than, equal to -x divided by -3. That's just x divided by 3, right? Well, 1/3 of x. You could think of it as 1/3 times x minus 6 divided by -3. That's just +2. So same way, we want to draw this line y equals to 1/3 of x plus 2. So we need to find x-intercept for this and y-intercept for this. X-intercept means y value is 0. So we'll assign y to be 0. We see 1/3 of x 0 equals to 1/3 of x plus 2. We solve this. So 1/3 of x equals to -2. Because this is 1/3 of x, what do? We multiply 3 on both sides. Because 3 times 1/3 is 1. So we'll get 1x. So x equals to -2 times 3, -6. So that's our x-intercept. So x value is -6. Negative. Similar way, we find y-intercept. So y-intercept means x value is 0. We need to find the corresponding y. If x is 0, 1/3 times 0 will be 0. So this one is easier. Y just equals to 2. So let's draw these 2 points. -6, 0, 0, and 2. -6 and 0, -6 is here. Y value is 0. 0 and 2, x value is 0, y value is 2, is here. So let's connect those 2 points. Because I have the equal sign in the inequality, I draw solid dot. Then I check this. This is saying y is greater than or equal to. So that means my line I have to draw above. So because the first one I draw vertically, this one I'm going to draw horizontally. So all those points above my green line are in the solution set, right? Now, because those two inequalities are putting together, we call it system of inequality because it becomes a system. So we're looking for a solution between to both. And we see this area, right? Because this area, we see grids. We see the blue vertical lines, go here, and the horizontal green lines go here. So those are the overlapping place. That means the solution set for this is for both of them. We can then put an S here to show, okay, this is a solution for this system of inequalities. Five. This is OR. It's still a system of inequalities, but with OR, we want to get a unit. The first one is like an AND. Two inequalities put together as a system is like an AND, but this one is OR. So either we're going to do union of the solution. We're not looking for the overlapping part. We're looking for, as long as the solution belongs to one. So we're uniting those two solution sets. So let's see this one. Let's first solve for this x, right? So maybe we move -11x to this side. We move the number -10 to the other side. If we do that, we get 9 minus 11, -2. -2x greater than or equal to -6 plus 10, positive 4. We divide by -2 on both sides. So x is less than or equal to -2. So this is our first solution set. Let's graph with red color. First, let's look for -2. -2 is right here. Less than or equal to, I have equal sign in the inequality. So I'm gonna make a solid dot. Right. Less than goes to the left. Solution goes to the left. So this is solution for the first one. For the second one, let's use blue color. So now let's solve for this. So I'm going to move 3x to the other side, becomes 11 minus 3x, right? Then moving 1 to the right-hand side, 9 minus 1 becomes 8. So I have 11 minus 3x, that's 8x, greater than, no equal sign. 9 minus 1, that's 8. Divided by 8 on both sides. So I get an x greater than 1. So let's draw this solution set. First, I need to find number one. Number 1 is here. No equal sign, I make an open circle. Greater than, I'm going to the right. So I have two solution sets. Again, I need to write it in interval notation. So how do I write? So when this -2 goes to the left, it goes to -infinity. When this 1 goes to the right, it goes to positive infinity. So my solution set will be, when I write solution set, I write from left to right. So I start with negative infinity, end up at -2. Because the -2 is in the solution set, I give a bracket. Because this is or, I union the two solution set. My second solution set is starting from 1, not including 1. So I use open parentheses. It goes to right. Where did it go to? It goes to positive infinity. Let's see, 6. Absolute value equation. All right. So first we want to single out this absolute value. All right. We want to get rid of this 9. We want to subtract 9 on both sides or move 9 to the left-hand side. If we do that, we get a -9 absolute value of 3x plus 4 absolute value equals to -27 plus -9 becomes -36. Right? I move 9 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. Positive on the left, when I move to the right-hand side, becomes negative. It's the same as adding or subtracting 9 on both sides. Same thing, okay? Now, I have one term here, I have one term here. I divide this term by -9 because I want to get rid of this -9. So I divide it. I divide this one by -9. Then I get absolute value of 3x plus 4 absolute value equals to, for -36 minus 9, that's -45. So I have this. Okay, now, when we absolute a value, it has to be at least 0. That means this value should be greater than or equal to 0. But this says -45. So that's why, so this is no solution, okay? So no solution for this. No, none of x, x can be nothing to work for this equation to be true. Because the absolute value changes negative to be positive. 0 is still 0. Absolute value is at least 0, but this is a -45, so no solution. Let's see this one. First, we want to get rid of this 3. We want to move this 3 to the other side. So then we get a 4 absolute value, x plus 7 absolute value, less than or equal to 27 minus 3, 24. Now what do? We see this 4 is before absolute value sign, multiply by it. So we want to divide this by 4 on both sides. When we do that, we get absolute value, x plus 7, absolute value, 24 divided by 4, 6. Okay, 6 is a positive number, so we should have two solutions. Either the inside x plus 7 is positive 6 or it's -6. So two cases. So first one is x plus 7 itself is positive, it's 6. So we solve, we get x equals to -1. Second case is if x plus 7 itself is -6, then the absolute sign will change the negative to be positive. If that's the case, x equals to -6 minus 7 minus 13. So we have two solutions, right? Two solutions. We can check those two solutions. We can check those two solutions back into the first one, right? If x equals to -1, -1 plus 7, that's positive 6. 4 times 6, 24. 24 plus 3, indeed, 27, right? If it were -13, oh, sorry, I forgot not equal sign. I forgot less than or equal to. Less than or equal to. Less than or equal, that's more. That's more, less than or equal to. Okay, so here we'll have to be careful. Either is less than or equal to -6 or greater than, so this becomes greater than, all right? So we can, so basically we have those two. So what do we do? Less than, let's see, 0 is here, maybe -1 is here, -13 is here, right? We can choose a value. If we pick those two values, that's exactly same as 27, but we want to pick an interval, right? So this one is saying x has to be less than or equal to, let's see this, if this is -2. If this is -2, we see this will be 5, right? Then 5 times 4, that's 20, 20 plus 3, yes. So that means -1 less than or 2, -1, it works. But let's say 13, right? It has to be greater than or equal to 13. If we pick -14, if this is -14, -14 plus 7, that's 7. 4 times 7, that's 28. 28 plus 3, that's 31. So this won't be true, right? So that means our solution is in between of those two numbers. Because we have equal sign, we make a solid dot in between of -10 and -13. So we want to use interval notation again. We write as bracket -13 up to -10. Okay, we use bracket because we have the equal, less than or equal sign. So equal sign is included. Okay, we want to factor this expression. Let's observe, we have 4 terms. So if we have 4 terms, we want to factor them. Usually we want to group them 2 by 2. If we group those two, we see y is a common factor, right? We can factor out y. We have x squared plus 6 inside the parentheses. And these two, we want to do the same. We want to factor out 9. 9, then we have x squared. 6 times 9, that's 54 also. See, now we have x squared plus 6, x squared plus 6 as a common factor. So we factor out, we have x squared plus 6 as a factor. This is a parenthesis. Then what's left? Y plus 9. So y plus 9 is the second factor. And then this cannot be factored any further in real number system. So we're done. 9, we want to graph this inequality. So first we graph the line. We graph the line y equals to 4x minus 1 by using x-intercept and the y-intercept. So what's the x-intercept? X-intercept means y equals 0. So y value is 0. If y is 0, let's plug in. If y is 0, we have 4x minus 1 equals 0. So 4x equals 1, then x equals 1/4. Right, so 1/4. Then we want to find x-intercept, y-intercept. Y-intercept means x value is 0. We want to find the corresponding y. If x is 0, this term is gone. If x is 0, so normal for x, so y equals -1. Okay, we got 2 points, right? 1/4 and 0. 1/4, so this is a half. This will be 1/4. So we have a point right here. Then 0 and -1. 0 and -1 are here. So we draw the graph. Because this this sign has no equal sign. So we draw solid, we draw dashed. We draw this dashed line. If with the equal sign, we draw solid. People even call dotted or dashed line. All right, this line. So this is the line for this. Now going back to see this y greater than this. So we want the y value to be bigger. So that means above this line. So the solution is above this line. Don't go below it. Below the line means the y value is smaller than, okay, above this line. So all those are in the solution set. All those in the solution set. You can put an S here. Factor again. We see t to the 5th power is a common factor, right? So we factor that first. So t to the 5th power. So we write here, t to the 5th power is a common factor. Once we factor out, so t to the 7 becomes t squared. T to the 6 just becomes t to the 1st power. And this just becomes 5. So t squared plus 4t minus 5 also can be factored, right? That can be factored as t plus 5 and t minus 1. T plus 5 and t minus 1. We can check. How do we check? We do t times t squared, 5 times -1, -5, like this term. Then 5t minus 1t, that's 4t. Subtract two polynomials. Right? This is subtraction. First, we can apply this subtraction inside. Right? We can multiply by -1, basically. We multiply by -1. Negative, negative, all become positive. So negative change negative to be positive. Now we look for like terms. There's no x to the 4th power. So the first term will be, we want to write in order. The first term will be 12 times x to the 4th power. Then let's check x cubed. -7x cubed, positive 11x cubed. 11 minus 7, that's positive 4. So 4x cubed. Then we have 12x plus 10x, all positive. So that becomes 22x. Then we'll have this number 1 here, which is a +1. That's it. That's the answer. Inequality again. We multiply -7 with x, get -7x. Then multiply -7 with 2, get -14. We want to combine like terms, but like terms on both sides, we have to move around. So we move -7x to the other side, become positive. Right? We move -10 to this side, because we want to separate the variables and the numbers. So -11x plus 7x, that's -4x, greater than or equal to -14 plus 10, that's -4. Now we divide by -4 on both sides. So x, we switch the sign when we divide by a negative number. X less than or equal to +1. Again, we want to write in interval notation. X less than, so let's see, this is a 1, this is a 0, right? So let's find a 1. 1 is here with solid. Less than goes to -infinity. So our solution is starting from -infinity up to 1. Because 1 is in the solution set, we end with a bracket. Factor completely. First, we see 5 is a common factor, right? 5 is a factor for every term. So we write a 5 here. Once we factor out 5, we have 3w squared minus 11w plus 10. We're thinking, okay, plus 10. Now we're thinking factors. So 3w squared, there's only one way. So let's write down 3w and W, right? So there's only one way to factor out 3W squared, 3W and W. Now, because the middle term is negative, and this term is positive, the n term is positive, all positive, so we have two negative factors of 10. Now think of which number we put here. When we do the FOIL, we can get the middle term negative 11. So which number? And the middle term we know we get from the smiling mouth, right? Multiplying those two. For 10, let's think about -2 and -6. -2 times -5, what I'm talking about. -5 times -2 is 10, positive 10, right? If I put -2 here, 3W times -2, that's -6W. Then I put a -5 here. -5 times W, -5W. Adds up, bingo, -11W. So that's it. This is our answer. 5 times, parenthesis, open parenthesis, 3W minus 5, close parenthesis, open parenthesis again, W minus 2, close parenthesis. Okay, solve this inequality again, then write in interval notation. For this one, we want to get rid of the denominators. We have three terms, right? We have this term, 7/2, we have y, we have 22/14. And the common, 2 goes into 14 7 times. So the common denominator is 14. With inequality, we multiply on both sides. Basically, this side we multiply by 14, and this side we multiply by 14. As long as we do the same operation on both sides, the inequality doesn't change. So 14 multiplied by 7/2, then 14 multiplied by y, then 14 multiplied by this term. So when we multiply 14 with 7/2, we see 2 goes into 14 7 times. So we get 49. 7 times 7, we get 49. 49 plus y times 14, that's 14y. Greater than or equal to 22/14 times 14, it just becomes 22. Right, this 14 is numerator, this 14 is denominator, so those two cancel to be 1. 1 times 22, so 22. So now we want to move 49 to the other side. So we get a 14y greater than or equal to 22 minus 49, that's a negative 29. Okay. Negative 27. Because 22 plus 27, that's 49. Now we divide by 14 on both sides. So we get a y greater than or equal to negative 27 divided by 14. There's no common factors between 14 and 27, negative 27. So we're done. Then we're going back to say this. This is greater than. That means y greater than or equal to, right? Greater than goes to the right, goes to positive infinity. With equal sign, so we've got to write it with a bracket. Negative, starting from -27/14. It goes to the right, to infinity. And infinity is not a concept, it's not a real number, so we always use open parentheses and close parentheses for it. Solve quadratic equations. We want to move everything to one side. Everybody to one side. So leave at one side to be 0. Leave one side to be 0. So what do we get? So we get an x squared. Negative 20x move to the other side, become 12 positive 12x. Then negative 35 move to the other side, become positive 35. Now think about two factors of 35. Everything's positive, right? Multiply 2 factors of 35, multiply to be 35, add up to be 12. Has to be 5 and 7, right? 5 times 7, 35. 5 plus 7, 12. So x plus 5, x plus 7 equals to 0. Then by zero property, it's something called a zero property. Zero property. Zero property is saying if we have 2 factors multiply to be 0, so either of them can be 0. That means x plus 5 can be 0, and x plus 7 can be 0. So, oops. So solve this, move 5 to the other side, become negative, move 7 to the other side, become negative. So I have 2 solutions. So x equals to either -5 or -7. 2 solutions. (16 and 17). Okay, last 2 questions. Factor again. First, we see 2 is a common factor, right? 18 is 2 times 9, 8 is 2 times 4. So let's factor out 2. So you factor out 2, put it, then 18 divided by 2, that's 9. So I have 9m squared plus 4n squared. Well, it's not difference of 2 squares, it's a plus. Okay, what else we can do? If this is not exam 1, if it's exam 3 or 4, we are able to factor this, use complex numbers. But for the first exam, so we haven't learned complex number yet. That's it. That's the answer. 2 times 9m squared plus 4n squared. So this is factoring in the real number world. In the complex number world, yes, we still can factor this. So if it's in the complex world, we can always factor as 3m minus 2ni times 3m plus 2ni. Okay, we see the imaginary number I appear. So now let's see 17. See the product of 2 consecutive pages. Consecutive means this. If the first page is x, if the previous page is x, the next one will be x plus 1. That means consecutive. Consecutive, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3 consecutive numbers. 2, 3, 4 consecutive numbers. So only means they differ by 1. So if one number we call x, the other number is x plus 1. The product means multiply those two. Right? It means x times x plus 1 equals to 306. Well, this is a quadratic formula, isn't it? Oops. You can't see anymore. Do that one more time. X times x plus 1 equals to 306. So we simplify this. Get x squared, we distribute x squared plus x, move 306 to the other side, become -306 on the other side. Because we solve quadratic equations, we always want to make one side to be 0, because then we could use 0 property. So now the work is to think about 2 factors of 306 adds up to be +1. Right? Because you see the middle term, the coefficient is a +1. So when you think 2 factors of 306, one is positive, one is negative, and those 2 adds up to be +1. Well, let's see. 6, we see 6 is a factor of this number, right? So this one can be factored as 6 times 6 goes to 35 times 51. But the difference between 6 and 51 is too big. So what about 51? 51 can be divided by 3. 3, that would be 17. Right? 3 times 17 is 51. Then 3 times 6, that's 18. Bingo. The difference between 18 and 17 is 1. So only thing we have to figure out which one is positive. 18 has to be positive, right? Because the middle term is positive. So we have positive 18 times negative 17. Then, so this can be factored as x plus 18 times x, times x minus 17 equals 0. Then you use 0 property, we get two solutions. X equals to negative 18 and positive 17. And of course, we don't count the page negatively, right? We don't count the negative pages. So we say ignore negative 18. So that means X is 17. So that's page 17. Well, what's 17 plus 1? 18. So the page numbers are 17 and 18. Okay, so this is a solution set for exam 2, right? For exam 2.